Hello everyone. Hi math students. I'm coming to you from over spring break. So I'm going to give you a spring break gift. I mentioned the other day in class that we are going to probably go on to Chapter 7, and I've loaded Chapter 7 in Blackboard, and I've loaded Chapter 7 in Connect. So I thought for Chapter 7 it can be a tricky chapter. So I'm just going to go through some of the main points of Chapter 7. So I've got up here on your screen here, again, the reminders for Chapter 7, your announcement page in Blackboard. I'm going to change some of these announcements later today after I finish my recording. So look for some of this to change. But I just wanted to share with you some things I want you to have ready as I go through these recordings. In Chapter 7, I'm going to create 3 recordings for you. The first recording is going to be on just trade discounts, which is covered in Chapter 7. The second recording that I'll do is cash discounts, and the third recording that I'm going to do is probably the shortest, will be partial payments. So I encourage you to take your time. I would encourage you to perhaps have your Chapter 7 PowerPoint open. Again, I created a link to that in Blackboard. So again, here's your Chapter 7 PowerPoint. I'm going to be covering this with you. I'm going to do kind of a narrated portion of your, narrated version rather, of your Chapter 7 PowerPoint. So that would be helpful. Also, again, that is going to be at the assignment link. Click on that Chapter 7 folder, and I've given you many, many resources, and this is, again, that Chapter 7 PowerPoint right there. So have that available. Also, as we go through each one of these 3 recordings, I'm going to take a break after each recording and go to your book. So please have your book available. I have certain problems that I just want to go over with you, and I'll do that, demonstrate those problems with you in my recording. So please have your book available, and wouldn't hurt to also have your calculator available as well. So I'll give you those as well as we go along. Just some other things that might be helpful before we get going on these recordings to just have in front of you. Not only should you maybe have that PowerPoint that's listed here, there's this other document here. It's called the Exact Days in a Year Calendar. It's right here. It's the first one under the companion materials. I would open that up, and this is what it looks like. So I'll be referring to this. Again, have that available before we get going on our recordings. Again, back in Chapter 7 folder, I kind of tried to do some summary tutorials. So there's a terms of trade review. I'll refer to this as well towards the end of my recording. But again, oops, I already have that available. This is what it looks like. It's a great, just an overall review sheet of all the terms of trade that I'll have in my very first, in my second recording. So that's another one that would be helpful to have ready to go before you start listening to this recording. And then the last document that I'll be referring to probably in the last video is going to be this partial payment step by step. Again, I just had that clicked on. That's what that looks like. So I'm going to share that information with you too. So again, have those resources available to you, in front of you rather, before we get going. Once again, the PowerPoint, have it ready to go. Have your book open. This calendar, we're going to use this calendar for the rest of the semester. I'll give you a little tutorial on how to use that. Again, the terms of trade review and this partial payment. Those are the main things that I have provided for you in the Chapter 7 folder. Okay? All right. So let's get started. This first video, again, there's 3 concepts you really need to know in this chapter. The first one is trade discounts. So I'm going to go there first, and I'm going to switch my camera to my document camera. And there we go. Coming. There we go. morning, class. I told you I may be doing a video lecture on Chapter 7, so this is it. Chapter 7 can be challenging for some, so I'm going to do actually 3 video lectures for Chapter 7. I'm just going to break them into chunks. So it is over Chapter 7. So for each one of these video lectures, please do a couple things before you start hitting, before we get too far into it. Number 1, have your book open and available to Chapter 7. Excuse me. Another thing too, please get some information off of our Blackboard before we get going. In Blackboard, I have posted Chapter 7 for you. So I just want to go over again what you can see here on the screen, excuse me, and show you a few things that are available to you. First of all, the Chapter 7 PowerPoint, that's open and available. I'm going to be using the PowerPoint in my discussion with you this morning. So it might be helpful to have that open or printed off, whichever, that you can kind of follow along with me. The other thing that you're going to need regularly in Chapter 7 and in the chapters to come is this first document, and I'm again in our Blackboard shell. I'm under the Chapter 7 companion materials, and it's the very first document here, Exact Days in a Year Calendar. So if you click on that one here, it's going to look something like that. So I want to share with you, especially in this first video, a little bit about how to use that calendar. We'll use it for a lot of chapters to come. Also in the Chapter 7, there's some other documents here that would be helpful to you. This Terms of Trade review, that will be in my second video, but this is kind of a nice overview of all the things that are presented in this chapter regarding terms of trade or cash discounts. So again, another document that might be helpful. And the last one I just had open there for you is this partial payment step-by-step. That's going to be the third video. And again, there's a few questions in Chapter 7 on what happens if somebody pays a bill but only pays part of a bill. How do you account for any discounts that apply to that? So the partial payment step-by-step, again, is going to be that document that might be helpful, again, in working the problems in Chapter 7 and in the Connect problems. All right? So let's get started. Again, I'm going to use my PowerPoint for Chapter 7. So let me switch my camera real quick. There we go. Okay, great. All right, so here we go, guys. I hope this helps. Let me get my Zoom going here. Sorry to make you a little crazy. All right, so Chapter 7, and one other thing, I don't know if I mentioned it, after each one of these videos, I'm going to go to some of the problems that are in the chapter. I'll tell you what they are, just like I do in class, and say, okay, let's look at this problem here. How would you solve that problem based on what we just covered? So Chapter 7, it's all about discounts. So again, when we're talking about Chapter 7, think of yourself as a business person. You're an entrepreneur, and you are offering discounts to your customers. So you have the opportunity to offer a trade discount or a cash discount. So I'll start this first video again. Is just going to be about trade discounts. So let me go through some of the things here. Again, when we just talk about trade discounts in general, I think you need to understand the purpose for them. Again, if you're an entrepreneur, why would you offer a trade discount to your customers? The main purpose for a trade discount is just to encourage continued business with those customers of yours. So it kind of builds loyalty, it builds a customer base, and again, you're basically rewarding those returning customers. I also like to switch to a consumer point of view. I shop regularly with trade discounts. There's one store here in North Platte that is very good about providing many discounts, trade discounts to me, and that is Herberger's. So anytime you go in with a coupon or a 20% off or a 30% off, whatever deal, you're being offered a trade discount. So again, it's always going to be a discount off of the selling price or the list price. All right? So again, the purpose for the trade discount, encourage loyalty. All right, so again, if this is kind of hard to see, again, I encourage you to have your PowerPoints open either on your screen or print it out like I have. All right, so some things here. Most of us are familiar with a discount. We're getting off a certain percent off of our list. So this is just a simple discount. It's a single discount. And again, when we're figuring a discount, we've got a list price here of $11,550, and they're offering a 25% discount. So again, if you're trying to determine the amount of the discount, you're just going to take list times the discount amount. And again, this is the discount amount. All right? So again, discount amount is there. Just another side note on this, we just finished chapter 6 and we used basically portions, base, and rate. In chapter 6, if you remember, base is always going to be the full price, so always think of your list price as always being base as well. If you wanted to use the pie diagram on these problems in this chapter as well, you certainly can do that. So I'm just going to add some additional information here. My pie diagram base, again, is always going to be in this position. This is always going to be list. We're talking about a trade discount rate. So this is our percent, and again, it's our discount rate. And in this case, it's 25%. And our portion up here is going to be our discount amount. So again, some things that we can use from the last chapter to help us solve for maybe multiple things on this in this chapter as well. All right, so think of it that way. List is always base. Again, just on trade discounts, if list is base, we'll always have two portions. The portions will be the amount of the discount, or the portion can also be the net amount. In other words, what are you paying for the item, which is covered here in the second note here. So if we're trying to find the net price, again, we're going to take the list price, once again, our $11,550, subtract out what we've already figured that 25% to be, which is $2,887.50, do the little subtraction step, and then we get net. So again, this is net price. This is also going to be another portion. So again, using the pie diagram, and I just really enjoy the pie diagram, I think they're a lot quicker. This is another way to look at this. Again, if I know that my list is base, again, it's base, and I'm solving for portion, another thing that I can do is if I know that my discount is 25%, I could take my list times the other 75%, and when you multiply, again, the 11,550 times 0.75, you're going to get the same number, 8,662.50. All right? So again, the point that I want to make with these two pie diagrams is, again, list is always base. And in problems with regard to trade discounts, you'll always have two portions. The portion is either going to be the discount amount. If that's the case, always make sure you're using the discount rate. Or the portion can be the net amount or the net price. In that case, always use, again, 1 minus the discount rate. And I'll talk about that again. All right, so that's very simple. And again, we're probably most familiar with that because I think all of us have enjoyed a trade discount or two. All right, this next thing I want to talk about just terms of, freight terms. So in chapter 7, we're going to be trying to figure out through the process in each one of these problems how much of a payment is a customer owing you? What's the amount of the payment they're going to owe you? So again, in chapter 7, you're going to have list price just like we saw. You're going to see a trade discount, and maybe there's some shipping involved. The one thing I think you need to remember on the Connect problems and all the problems is you will never, ever, ever apply discounts to freight. So if freight is included in an invoice, make sure you take the freight out. Apply the discounts, and then add the freight back in at the end. So again, freight is never subject to a discount. It's always added in at the end of your calculations. But there are two types of freight charges that you might see on an invoice. So let me talk about that. We've got California over here, and we've got, we have California, and we've got a seller over here in Massachusetts, all right? So we've got two terms of trade. This one here and this one here. Make sure you know the difference between these. FOB shipping point, if that's on the invoices, FOB shipping point, it means that the buyer is paying it from where it's being shipped from to where it's going. So again, FOB shipping point, it means freight on board. That's what FOB stands for. Freight on board at shipping point, like the seller's only going to get it on the docks or on the cargo, and then from this point to this point, the buyer pays. Okay. If it's FOB, it can also be called FOB Boston. So instead of saying if it's FOB Boston, again, in this case, the buyer pays. So again, it's originating in California. It's going to be shipped all the way to Boston. And again, if that's the case, the buyer in San Diego, or the seller, I should say, pays the full amount of the freight. So another way of saying it is it can be FOB shipping point, it can be FOB destination. If it's FOB destination, again, the seller pays the whole way, all the way to where it's going. So just make sure that you know the difference between those two things. Again, you can apply trade to freight. All right, I want to talk about this. This is my favorite thing to talk about in this chapter, and that's the complement. So again, if you're going shopping and you see something, I do this all the time, you go shopping and you see something, a $100 item maybe, and there's a 30% off. I don't know if you calculate your discounts in your head or not, which you should, but if it's 30% off, a lot of people say, oh, $100 times 30%, that's $30. Take $30 off of 100, that means I owe 70. That's kind of the long way around it, and again, I've talked about this many times in class. Try to eliminate some of the mathematical processes if you can. It makes calculation quicker. So in this picture here, we're going to talk about the complement. The complement is the percent, not that you're saving, it's not the percent of the discount, but it's the percent that you're spending. So again, in general, percent, again, spent. So sometimes when I'm shopping, I don't worry so much about how much I got off of my product, the rate of the discount. I think more about, ooh, what's it going to look like in my checkbook? How much am I actually spending? So the complement is 1 minus the discount rate. That's what you need to remember. So again, it's 1 minus the discount rate. That's the complement. So, again, some examples. I'll just come down here. If it's a 75% discount, which is what this example is, it's going to be, if it's a 25% discount, it's going to be 1 minus 0.25, which is 0.75. That's the amount you're spending of list. If it's a 20% discount, the complement is going to be 1 minus 0.20 if you're using decimals, or 0.80, or 80%, that's what you're spending. If the complement, if the discount is a 40% discount, that's my discount, it's going to be 1 minus the 0.40, or I'm actually spending 0.60, or in percent, 60%. So again, we can figure out the net amount quickly if we just take the list price times the complement, boom, you've got your net amount that you're spending, all right? So some other things on here, So just to kind of, one more note on here. If you take your list times the complement, it's going to give you automatically net amount. Okay? So again, maybe try looking at those discounts a little differently when you're out shopping around. So if you see that $100 pair of cute shoes or work boots or whatever they are, and there's a 40% discount, just take the list price 100 times 0.60, and you know you're paying $60 for those. All right? So complement. again, I'll use the complement a lot as we solve problems. It's much quicker. So once again, here's the same thing. This is an example of what I just talked about. Again, we have this list computer. The computer is $2,700. They're offering a 40% trade discount. And we want to know two things. We want to know what the discount amount is, and we want to know what the net price is. The simple part, again, take your list, which is $2,700, times your discount amount, or discount rate, excuse me, of 0.40, multiply them together, and we know that the trade discount is 1,080. So again, this is the discount. That's how much off. But then we're still trying to figure out, gosh, what are we going to pay for that computer? I'm still calculating in my brain. So now I've got to take list of 2,700, do a little subtraction step in my brain, take the discount amount off, and I know that this now is my net price of 1,620. A much quicker way, just like I said, is use the complement. You only have one calculation step to do. You don't have to do this subtraction step here. So take your list amount here. Again, this is list. Take it times the complement. So what's my complement again? 1 minus the discount rate. Or 1 minus 0.40 is 0.60. So once again, I'm just going to take list. Here's my complement here, times 0.60. My net amount is, again, 1620. All right, so again, net. It saves a little step there. Okay? So when I talk about the complement, I'm trying to eliminate this subtraction step. Unless I'm trying to, I don't need it, of course, if all I want to know is the discount amount. But as a buyer, I'm more interested in what's it going to cost me versus what's it going to save me. All right, so get used to that, using the complement. Again, this is one of those things, too, that we'll use in a lot of chapters to come. All right, the other thing that we talked about, and I kind of already covered this with my pie diagram, what if we know the net price and we know the trade discounts and all of that? Can we determine what the list price is? So again, we're just solving for the list price instead of maybe the net price or the trade discount. Once again, just like I said, I'm going to put them over here in pie diagram just to make sure you're clear on this. I use pies all the time, as you know. Remember, base is always going to be list. Portion can be discount. This is an amount. Discount amount. And this is the discount rate. Remember, these two have to relate to the same part of base. So you have to have the discount rate with the discount amount. The other pie diagram, again, my base is always going to be list. On this one here, we're talking about our net rate. That's going to be the complement, by the way. And this portion here will be my net amount. So get used to using these pies. If you haven't embraced the pie yet, I hope you do. So here's the story on this one. We still have this computer here. It has a 1,620 net price with a 40% trade discount. We're solving for list. Automatically, I says, well, if I'm solving for list and I don't want to do the subtraction step, I know if it's a 40% trade discount amount, the discount rate must be 0.60. So I'm going to use my complement once again. 1 minus the discount gives me my complement here of 0.60. My base here again, I guess I'm sorry, we're not solving for the base. I know my net price here is the 1,620. That's given. I figured out my complement from the discount rate given. I divide that 1,620 divided by my net price rate, and I'm going to get, again, back to my list price here of 2,700. So again, you can see how helpful the complements are. If you don't do it this way, I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so there we go. using the complement, and again, using my pies. I know he didn't necessarily set these up in pies, but I'm going to always set them up in pies. It's easy on my brain. All right, so those are the trade discounts. This is the end of the first lecture part of this video. I'm going to ask you to go to your textbook, and I'm going to do a few problems here that I picked out from the textbook. So I'm in the textbook. I got to get my glasses on here, guys. I'm at the end of your chapter. In my textbook, we know we've had different problems about page numbers. I'm on page 202. So I'm on page 202 of my book, sorry. And I'm going to do problem number, let's start with problem number 1, okay? Let me zoom this just a little bit, okay? All right, so here we have it.
I figured they were getting it with paper, right?
Let's see what I want to do here. Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Hang on just a minute. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to move on. Sorry. Those are all the chain discounts. I'll do that in the next video. Let's go to problem number 20. Okay, sorry, hang on to that. I'm going to keep going. I'm ready. I'm not quite ready for that. I want to go to some chain discounts too. All right, sorry, I digress. I'm going back to the PowerPoint real quick, quickly then. The other type of trade discount, we've been talking about single trade discounts. Sometimes we have trade discounts in a chain, all right? So a trade discount can look something like this. You have a list price, and they're offering you a 20, 15, and a 10. This is a chain of trade discounts together. All right? So what this means is if your item sells for a given amount, $100, let's use that, you first get off a 20% discount. All right? So then, again, on the net price equivalent rate, again, you've got hang on, let me see what I'm doing. You're basically getting 20 off, or you're paying 80%. Then, after that is applied, you have another 15% discount. The complement of a 15% discount is 0.85. And then you get a final 10% discount. The complement of the 10% discount is a 0.90. So basically, you've got a series of discounts here. You can never, as we see in this picture here, you can never add these together, you can never add these together and say, oh, that must be a 45% discount, 20 plus 15 plus 10. No, you never add your chain discounts because they all go off of different nets. So there is such a thing in Chapter 7. It's kind of a wordy. It's called net price equivalent rate. In other words, what is the net price that a buyer would have to pay if they were given a series of discounts like 20, 15, and 10? So we have a new rate for this chain discount that represents, again, the net price. To figure the net price rate, again, all you have to do is, just like I said, take the complement of each discount, take the complement of each series of discounts. Again, 80% is a complement of a 20%. 0.85 is the complement of a 0.15 discount. And 0.90 is the complement of a 10% discount. Take your complements and multiply them together. When you do that, you get this rate here. All right, so the complements multiplied together gives you a net price of 0.612. So in other words, the buyer with these three discounts are getting about a 61.2, not discount, but they're paying 61.2 off of list. All right, that is a chain discount. So once again, the net price equivalent rate is the complements of your chain multiplied together, and when you get this rate and you multiply it by list, it'll give you net price. All right, sorry, I thought I had those ready to go. I'm going to go through some problems with that here in a minute. All right, so another thing that you need to understand on a chain discount, just on a side note, Herberger's does this all the time. They have a sale going on right now in North Platte. They're offering a 30% discount, and then you get an additional 20% discount if it's a yellow dot item. Again, that is not a 50% discount. They're going to take $30 off your list price first, and then they're going to apply the other 20. So if your item is $100, you have a 30-20 chain. Let me just do that. You got a $100 item at Herberger's. You've got a chain discount of 30 and 20. All right? So your 30-20, this is not equal to a 50% discount. No, because they go off of different lists. So the complement of a 30% discount is going to be 0.70. The complement of a 20% discount is going to be a 0.80. You multiply those two together to determine what your price is going to be. But here's a demonstration of what this does. This will give your net price equivalent, that's a lot of words, rate. The short of it is, when you multiply your complements together, it's going to give you net price when you multiply it to list. So here's what this is doing. If my item started out at $100 and I'm only paying 70% because I have a 30% discount, my item automatically goes down to $70. If I have now a $70 item and I've got a 20% a chain discount with that, that means I'm only paying 80% of that. All right, so again, 8 times 7 is going to be the amount of your item. So if you take 0.70 times 8, your item is $56. Does that make sense? Okay, all right, so that's the chain discount, the net price equivalent rate of a chain. I'm going to move on to another thing. Again, this is basically the same thing I'm saying. You've got an item here, it's $15,000. It's got a series of chains of 20, 15, and 10. All right, this is not, again, 20, 30. This is not a 45% discount. Sorry, let me get my Elmo straightened out here. That is not a 45% discount. So here's basically what your chain discount does. It takes $15,000. It's with a 20% discount. $15,000 times 20 means you have a discount of $3,000 on 15. Take your $3,000 off. Your net price is now $12,000. But then we have another 15% discount. So I take $12,000 times my 0.15. It gives me a discount of $1,800. Take that off of my net. 12,000 minus the 1,800 gives me 10,200. Then I have another 10% discount. The discount on 10,200 is 10%, or 1,020. Take my 1,020 off of my net again, and now my final price is this one right here. You can do this very quickly once again. Keep in mind, I have my, I'll just keep going. Here's the quickest way to do that. That's a lot of subtracting, by the way. So let's not subtract, let's use our complements on our chain. Here's again the same list item. Here's the same chain discount. I'm looking for the net price right here. That's what I'm trying to get to. Here's the complements of my discounts, my chain discounts. The complement of a 20% discount is 0.80. The complement of a 15% discount is 0.85. The complement of a 10% discount is 0.90. Remember, your complement is 1 minus the discount rate. That's how I got that. That's how I got that. That's how I got that. Multiply them together. So when they're offering this chain discount of 20, 15, 10, basically this is what you're paying for your item. You're paying 61.2% of list. So here's my list price here. Here's my net price equivalent rate. Net price equivalent rate. It's going to give me my net price of 0.612. The answer's the same. Only, look at here, guys, didn't have to do all of that subtracting. Same answer. All right. If you want to know the discount, that's easy to do too. Just take your list price minus your net, and you've got your discount amount. All right. So those are some things to think about with regard to chain discounts. Again, bottom line, you can't add those chains up. One other thing on this chapter, we talked about it at the beginning of the chapter, and then later on they don't use it so much, but I still want to talk about it. So there's another thing that you need to know how to calculate, especially for Connect, is the single equivalent discount rate. All right, once again, these are only apply, applies to chain discounts only. So if you have a single trade discount, you don't worry about this rate. It's just on chain discounts. So the question is, you've got this $15,000 item here. You've got, again, this chain discount. That hasn't changed in our demonstration. But now I don't want to know what my net amount is. I want to know what is the amount of the discount given this chain. So here's your clue here. This rate will tell you the amount of the discount when we use it. So how do you figure that? We already figured the net price equivalent rate by multiplying the complements of our chain discount together, and we got 0.612. The single equivalent discount rate is just 1 minus the 0.612. We get 0.388. This, again, when we use this rate right here, when we take list times 0.388, we are going to get the discount amount on this chain discount, which is what we did right here. 15,000 times 0.388 gives us the discount amount. Now, once again, we figured it differently here. We figured it right here once we figured net. We did a little subtraction step. But if you're just looking for the discount amount, notice you can also figure that from, again, this chain discount. You got to multiply them. You got to get the net price rate. Then you have to take 1 minus the net price rate to get the single equivalent discount rate. Single equivalent discount rate times list will always give you, again, discount amount. All right. Okay, now I think, now I do want to go to the chapter. So sorry about that. I forgot I wanted to also talk about chain discounts before I went on. So now let's go back to, again, in your book, I'm going to start on page 202. So again, 202 is my page number in my book. I don't know what it is in yours. And I am going to do problem number 1 for sure now. All right, so number 1. All right, so in problem number 1, we've got this Apple iPad, right? It's an iPad. It has a list price of $799. It's got a chain discount of a 3 and a 1. That is not a 4% discount, right? We want to know what is the, I'm going to have to abbreviate, the net price equivalent rate. All right, we're going to have to know that. They also want to know what the single equivalent discount rate is. So watch my abbreviations. I cannot spell all of that out. Okay? Then they're going to want to know the net price, and they're also going to want to know the trade discount. All right, so let's first of all, let's just figure, I always like to know, what's it going to cost me? I've got a 3 and a 1 discount, and the iPad costs $799. I want to know what my net price is. So let's figure the net price equivalent rate. I'm going to take the complements of each one of these and multiply them together. So the complement of a 3% discount is a 0.97. The complement of a 1% discount is 0.99. If you multiply those together, you should get a rate, hope you're doing this, of 0.9603. All right? That is my rate. That is my rate to figure net price. So I'm just going to do a little calculations because I know you're looking at your book. Bottom line on here, clear to the right, it says, what's net price? Well, here's how I figure my net price using that rate. I'm going to take my $7.99 and I'm going to multiply that times my net price equivalent rate of 9603. And when I multiply those out, I'm going to get my net price of $767.28. I'm done. All right? They also want to know on this one, what's the trade discount amount? Just the discount amount. So I'm going to use the same information. To get the single equivalent discount rate, I'm going to take 1 minus point, the net price equivalent rate of 9603. If you subtract 0.9603 from 1, the single equivalent discount rate is going to be 0.0397. So it's about not quite a 4% discount using this chain. Not quite. So again, if I want to figure discount amount on this one here, all I'm going to do is, again, take my list of $7.99, that's my list, times my single equivalent discount rate of 0.0397, and I have a trade discount amount of $31.72. All right. Now clearly, if I know my iPad started at $7.99 and this is what I paid for it, you could do a subtraction step and still get that, which is fine. But on some of the problems, they're going to ask you, no, what's the single equivalent discount rate? Use it and find the discount amount. All right. So I just want to make sure you can do that in your book. All right. The next one I'd like for you to go to is. I kind of wanted to do number 3, but I'm going to skip number 3. It's the same process where you have to do both. I'm going to go to problem number 4. And again, we've got a treadmill here that we're buying. So again, I'm on problem number 4. That's my problem. And I'm still on page 202. So on number 4, we've got this treadmill. The treadmill, I need a new one of those. Actually, the treadmill cost about $3,000. It's a good one, all right? We've got a chain of 9 and a 4. All right, just like I've mentioned before, that is not equivalent to what's 9 plus 4. It's not a 13% discount. And again, we are looking for what is net price. That's what we're looking at. And what's our discount amount? All right, so let's just cut to the chase here. I want to know what, I'm going to use my net price. I'm going to do my net price equivalent rate here. I know you're going to have to figure it. So the net price equivalent rate on this one is going to be the complements of my chains. So the complement of a 9% discount is going to be a 0.91. The complement of a 4% discount is going to be 0.96. So if you multiply those together, 0.91 times 0.96, you should get 0.8736. I'm hoping that's right. 8736. Is that, are those complements multiplied together? So this chain discount of a 9.4, it looks like that we're going to be buying this for about 87+% of list. That's how I would read that. So again, my list price, I'm going to solve for net. So my net price, my net price is going to be this. Get my pen working here. 3,000 is my list. Times this net price equivalent rate. Remember, it gives you net price here. 0.8736. It looks like my treadmill, I'm going to be able to buy it for $2,620. $1,020.80. Okay. If I want to know, again, I'm going to do one more on this. If I want to know my discount amount, clearly you could subtract these two and figure the discount amount. But let's just do the single equivalent discount rate just for fun, okay? So I'm going to do the single equivalent discount rate here. When I use this rate, I'm actually solving for the discount amount. So to figure that, I'm going to take 1 minus my net price equivalent rate, 8,736. 1 minus that is going to give me a rate of 0.1264. So if I'm looking for my discount amount for this treadmill, I'm going to take my list of 3,000 times 0.1264. And again, it should give me a trade discount of $379.20. All right, how we doing? Let me look real quickly. I'd like to go to problem number 25. It's a word problem. I have others marked, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna try to run through a couple more word problems before I go to the second video. The problem that I want to talk about is on the page 204, and it's problem number 25. Okay, so that's where I'm headed. I want to pick through a couple of word problems before we go on this video. So on page 204, problem 25, I read, the manufacturer of a skateboard offers a 5, 2, and a 1 chain discount to many customers. Bob Sporting Good ordered 20 skateboards, and the total list price for all 20, read this carefully, is $625. That's not $625 per skateboard. That's for all 20 skateboards. It's for all 20 boards, it's $625. So this now becomes my list price. All right. And again, on this one here, he's offering, like I said, a 5, 2, and a 1 discount. What's the net price of these skateboards? What's the amount of what's the trade discount amount? So again, we have a 5, 2, and a 1. So my list, once again, $625. My chain is a 5, 2, and a 1. I want to go straight to my net price equivalent rate. So again, on my net price, I'll do it this way, equivalent rate, I am going to take the complements of each one of those and multiply them together. So on this one here, the complement of a 5% discount in decimal is 0.95 times the complement of a 2% discount, 0.98 times the complement of a 1% discount is 0.99. If you multiply those all together, you should come up with a chain discount of 0.92169. All right, so looking at this, it looks like the net price is going to be around 92% of list. Okay, so what is my net price again? My net price is going to be my 625 times my net price equivalent rate, 0.92169, or my net price, if you multiply those together, my net price, it looks like, is going to be 560. We're going to round this to the penny. 576, and I get 0.056. Actually, I get a lot more stuff than that. I get that answer when I take this times my net price equivalent rate. Clearly, we're dealing with money, aren't we? So when we buy things with money, we are going to round to the penny. So the amount of my treadmill is going to be $5,576.06. Once again, on this problem, they're asking for the trade discount amount too. You can do this a couple ways. You can take the this minus my net, this minus my list price and figure my discount amount, or you can figure the net single equivalent discount rate from that. You should get the same answer. But once again, 625 minus the 576.06 will give me a net, a discount amount of $48.94. All right, so again, I hope that helps. I'm going to stop there. I know I'm already moving close to 50 minutes here, but two things in this video. The single trade discounts, those are the easy ones. You get 20% off or you get 30% off. If you're looking to find net, just take the complement of each one of those and multiply them by list. The other type of trade discounts are the ones I'm demonstrating here, which is, again, using chains. In other words, there's multiple trade discounts given. Bottom line, you know you can't add them up, so this is not the same as an 8% discount. It's a little less than that, so make sure you don't do that, but always understand what complements are. In Chapter 7, if you don't get complements, you're going to have a really hard time, so always look at the complements. So here's my challenge to you before I end this video. When you're out shopping around and they've got a series of discounts open to you, maybe go to Herberger's, they're having a sale right now, as always. Try to figure some complements in your head. You see a 20-30 discount. Well, you know you're paying the first 80%, and then you're going to get a new net, and then you're paying only 70% of that net. So those are some things to think about. Again, the main purpose of a complement discount is to encourage trade. That's why they're called a trade discount, and encourage repeat customers and create that loyalty base among your customers. All right, so that's it for for the first video on trade discounts in Chapter 7. Again, utilize some of the handouts that you're given on here, and start working through your Connect problems, especially looking for the trade discount questions. All right, I'll bring you up a new video here in a few minutes. Good luck.